By the 1820s, Gioachino Rossini was considered one of the most famous composers in the world. He composed almost 40 operas, which included opera buffa, comic opera, opera seria, serious opera, and operas that contained elements of both comic and serious opera. His compositional style greatly influenced the structural development of bel canto opera, the style of opera that flourished among his contemporaries, including Donizetti and Bellini, in 18th and early 19th century Italy. Bel canto is known for showcasing the voice through beautiful legato lines that call for all manner of embellishments, including rapid-fire runs and trills. Some bel canto arias feature two sections, a slower, lyrical, and legato section called the cantabile, followed by the faster, ornamented section called the cabaletta. Action on stage invites the change in music. The writing requires an agile voice quality that can maneuver the quick passages with ease. With Rossini, the repetition of the cabaletta theme and accompanying orchestration is designed for variation. Rossini was a product of his Baroque and Classical period predecessors, inspired by balance and emotional restraint. His compositional prime was about a generation before the liberties of dissonance and through composition found in Romanticism. His musical language is graceful, witty, and thrilling, with poised melodies and swells of rhythmic energy. Rossini is also known for having composed in rather quick time frames, as seen with La Cenerentola, which he completed in just over 20 days. Rossini's musical approach remained consistent regardless of the opera content. Comedy or serious drama, he drew from the same musical language. For example, the famous overture to the Barber of Seville was originally written for a serious opera called Aureliano in Palmira, an opera about the Roman emperor's conquest of Syria. In terms of story, the Barber of Seville and Aureliano in Palmira are different, yet the music serves both contexts. The style requires emotional investment from the singer to commit to the appropriate level of pathos and joy. Because the notes themselves oftentimes do not convey the entirety of the mood and story, the audience must rely on the theatrical experience of opera. Rossini's choice to even set the Barber of Seville as an opera was a daring one, as the Italian composer Paisiello had already composed a popular opera based on the same story. Regardless, in 1815, when the impresario of the Teatro Argentina in Rome commissioned 24-year-old Rossini to write an opera, Rossini looked to the same source. Based on Beaumarchais' 1775 play, Le Barbiere de Seville, Rossini originally called his opera Almaviva, but the title was permanently changed to Il Barbiere di Siviglia for the 1816 performance in Bologna. While the premiere was premature and met with harsh criticism from Paisiello's fans, the second performance, after more preparation, was received with enthusiasm and followed with crowds gathering outside Rossini's house to cheer. The opera was quickly produced throughout Europe and premiered in the United States in 1825 at the Park Theater in New York City. This performance made theatrical history, as it was the first Italian opera to be performed in Italian in New York City. The beloved comedy features Count Almaviva and the ensuing mayhem as he disguises as a poor soldier in an attempt to woo Rosina, who is already betrothed to her guardian, Dr. Bartolo. The music is quite recognizable, starting with the overture. Typically, overtures feature tunes that the audience will hear in the rest of the opera. However, because Rossini wrote this opera in 3 weeks and was pressed for time, he recycled his own music, which he had previously used in 2 other operas. The Count's first solo aria is a great introduction to the contrast between the different aria sections. First, the slower, lyrical section followed by the faster, ornamented section. Here, the Count, disguised as a poor soldier named Lindoro, eagerly awaits for Rosina to wake. He sings in the early morning hours of his affection for her.
Oh
common feature in comic opera is the tongue-twisting patter song. This song requires articulate diction as each syllable of the text corresponds to one note. The phrases tend to be very fast, and the musical accompaniment is usually simple and light so that the text is emphasized. Both Figaro and Bartolo have patter singing in their Act I arias, and the rest of the characters take turns with it throughout the opera. In addition to serving the comedy, the patter song can also demonstrate confusion, anxiety, arrogance, and a number of other emotions. In Figaro's beloved patter aria Largo al Factotum, he boasts of his success as the town barber, as well as his self-proclaimed abilities as the town factotum, a prestigious name for a know-it-all. Aligning with the rhythm of the patter song, Rossini's comedy often relies on physical humor, timing, and wit, all of which Figaro demonstrates.
E Figaro, su qua, Figaro, su qua, Figaro qua, Figaro là, Figaro qua, Figaro là, Figaro su, Figaro giù, Figaro su, Figaro giù, quanto battissime sono le furie, sono affettati da recità, da recità, da recità, da recità, da recità. Apro Figaro, proprio bellissimo, a te fortuna, non mancherà. Apro Figaro, proprio bellissimo, a te fortuna, non mancherà. Sarà il peccato della città, sarà il peccato della città, della città, della
As the story continues, Lindoro, the Count in disguise, intrigues Rosina and she vows to have him, proclaiming Lindoro as her choice. She reveals her resilient side and poses a rhetorical challenge to her guardian, Dr. Bartolo. For I am gently bred, as sweet as honey. When I am gently led, don't push me round. For if you push me round, then I will stand my ground. I can be mean and nasty too. I'll get you in the end, I'll have the last laugh, my friend. The final joke will be on you. No matter what you say, I'll get my own sweet way. The aria demonstrates the fast, ornamented passages typical of Rossini. Bel canto opera features recitatives, the more speech-like and less accompanied vocal sections, to move the story along, while the arias and ensembles express the inner emotions of the characters. In the Act I finale, the Count, still disguised as a drunken soldier, engages in a heated argument with Dr. Bartolo, causing soldiers to rush into the house due to the commotion. They arrest the Count, but when he whispers his true identity to the head soldier, he is immediately released. Bartolo and Basilio remain confused. The scene suspends time, allowing for each character to comment on the strange scenario. The voices enter one by one, starting with Rosina, the mezzo-soprano, and following in order the Count, tenor, Bartolo, bass, Figaro, baritone, Basilio, bass, and Berta, mezzo-soprano. The first three voices enter with the same melody, which is disrupted when Figaro enters with a different theme, and Basilio then with a bass line that is eventually paralleled by a third higher, Bartolo. The finale continues and culminates into a fantastic chorus as the guards and neighbors have joined the scene. The chorus provides engaging tempo changes and dynamic contrasts as the principals are instructed by the music notation to sing sottovoce, or half voice, signifying their inner thoughts. Count, as Lindoro, has fled. But Bartolo remains skeptical and continues scheming to find out information. Don Alonso arrives unexpectedly. He claims to be a music apprentice to Don Basilio, the music teacher, but he is actually the Count in yet another disguise. Once again, the Count attempts to deceive Bartolo in an attempt to woo Rosina, but Rosina recognizes him as her Lindoro. Figaro arrives to help the Count. To distract Bartolo, Figaro sends him to prepare for a shave. Basilio enters and the Count, as Alonso, with Figaro and Rosina, work to keep Basilio quiet so Bartolo does not find out the Count's identity. Of course, Rosina is unaware of his true identity, thinking that Alonso is Lindoro. As they try to convince Bartolo that Basilio is sick with scarlet fever, the Count bribes Basilio with money so he'll leave. The ensemble maneuvers in their scheming from a conversational musical style to a more lyrical tune, with Buona Sera as they try to convince Basilio to go to bed to recover.
Bagatella, cospetto, che femorella, bagatella, bagatella, femorella, femorella, questa è febbre scarlattina, scarlattina. Via prendete medicina, via prendete medicina, non vi state a rovinare. Presto, presto andate a letto, voi paura in vermi fate.
Dice bene andate a letto.
Presto andate a riposare. Presto andate a riposare. Una borsa. Andate a letto. Ma che tutti siano d'accordo. Presto a letto, 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 presto a letto.
Basilio eventually informs Dr. Bartolo that Alonso is the Count in disguise. Bartolo deceives Rosina into thinking that Lindoro has betrayed her. Feeling devastated and rejected, she then agrees to move forward with marrying Bartolo. He rushes off to make arrangements for the marriage contract. Rossini cleverly includes storm scenes in opera to serve various purposes. In this case, the orchestral interlude provides a brief moment of vocal rest for the singers. The storm also adds to the story as it slows down Bartolo from his return, which leaves Rosina with Figaro and Lindoro, the Count. The storm keeps Rosina from fleeing Lindoro. She confronts him, finds out his true identity, and they reconcile. We look forward to seeing you at the performance of Rossini's The Barber of Seville on Friday, February 15th and Sunday, February 17th, 2018, in the W.L. Lyons Brown Theater. We would like to thank our production sponsor, Trayton Oak Towers, our conductor sponsor, Stoll Keen Ogden, and our orchestra sponsor, Arthur J. and Mary Celeste Lerman Foundation. And a huge thank you to our season sponsor, the Brown-Forman Corporation. We will leave you with the trio between Figaro, the Count, and Rosina as they rejoice in their reconciliation and continue planning for Dr. Bartolo's return.
Dolce nudo, avventurato, che fai paghi?
Andiamo!
Andiamo per carità!